Of course, we're broadcasting here from grand old London, known for Big Ben, the Royal Buckingham Palace, and now, alas, for throngs chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. A melody to many Jews in Britain and across the world, as sweet as a hornet's nest. So what's being beckoned on the streets today? A full-scale erasure of Israel? Is that the answer? The butchering of thousands more Israeli citizens for the mere crime of being Jewish? And, of course, the spectacle of Labour Party conference this week was a sight to behold. The middle-class left-wingers touting for their Justice for Palestine stall was right beside the LGBT plus Labour stall. The irony, I doubt, will be lost on many viewers tonight. Have any of these ninnies ever set foot in Palestine, for example? I mean, you declare you're non-binary or fond of the same sex in Gaza, and the only intersectionality you'll be acquainted with is being flattened at an intersection in Gaza City. So why don't these revolutionaries on our streets, screeching to free Palestine, kickstart a crowdfunder? I'm certain that many would happily chip in for a one-way ticket to send them off to their cherished Valhalla of Gaza. I'm absolutely mortified by the scenes unfolding in Britain. It breaks my heart to see. This is a land that I adore. A Batley Grammar School teacher dives into hiding for showcasing a cartoon. Presumably, he's going to be in hiding for some time to come. There was an autistic child threatened over a scuffed Quran. And now Jewish schools are fastening their bolts, quaking at the thought of being next on the list for an anti-Semitic violent crime. Is this the melting pot of cultures that we're peddling here? Calls for the military to shield schools in Britain are actually being seriously suggested. Isn't it high time to admit that we're in quite the quagmire here in Britain, not just in Israel? I mean, it should rankle every Brit that our schools are bolting doors in dread, particularly amidst the spike in vile anti-Semitic incidents of late. I mean, picture the chaos if a different crew was spewing such vile slogans against a minority as diminutive as Britain's Jewish community. Fancy their chances of strolling away scot-free? Because I certainly don't, and rightly so. Now let's broaden the view a smidgen. A French teacher was just stabbed to death in a case President Macron dubbed Islamist terrorism. Russia, China, Iran, they're each scheming to topple the West. Yet here in Britain, we're tongue-tied, unable to utter terrorist when it comes to the BBC's narrative, for example. Hamas, the so-called freedom fighters, a disgusting description in my view, the BBC skirt around. They're the ISIS of Palestine, a retrograde death cult itching to yank us all back to the Dark Ages. So if you consider these blokes freedom fighters, I dare say, endure 2 minutes under their rule and then we'll talk. The harsh reality is that Hamas is no saviour for Palestine. Since commandeering Gaza, they've opted for rocket arsenals over schools, for military tunnels over hospitals, and the goal to use their own as human shields. Does this echo freedom fighters to you? Is this justice? Merely weeks ago, I was in Israel, a nation encircled by foes on each side. Yet here we are, hesitating to actually take a decisive stand and call a spade a spade. Britain ought to assure its Jewish populace, and indeed the world, which side of history it aligns with. These Hamas and Iranian cheerleaders in Britain should be dealt the same frosty treatment we handed those ISIS aficionados. Confiscate their passports, boot their citizenship and show them the exit. The Shamima Begum treatment. Our island isn't a stomping ground for those views. Cheers very much. The last call should have been sounded, and it's about time Britain ceased being a refuge for the mouthpieces of malevolence. And don't get us started on the Football Association, the spineless cowards that they are. They can drench Wembley in Black Lives Matter hues over the appalling end of one man in America, but they can't light up the arch for over 1,300 slain Israelis. What twisted morality is that? So don't be hoodwinked by these factions. What Palestine, what the world craves, is liberation from the wickedness that is Hamas. I don't think that's a topic really ought to be up for debate. It's a stark reality. So let's slice through the gibberish, confront these adversaries of our values, and for the love of God, start calling a spade a spade.